Yo, hoop fans, your sideline sage, Tips and Upstreams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads. The first prediction for today is for the game between Phoenix Suns and Charlotte Hornets. This Friday at the heart of the Spectrum Center, the basketball world will be treated to an electrifying showdown as the Phoenix Suns square off against the Charlotte Hornets. With a recent record that's a mixed bag, both squads are eager to prove their mettle, albeit under contrasting skies. The Suns, despite a recent setback against the Celtics, have demonstrated their prowess with wins over the Cavs and Raptors. Their scoring power is undeniable, boasting an average of 117 points on an impressive 49.3% from the field. With basketball luminaries like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal lighting up their roster and a sharp-shooting 37.6% from downtown, Phoenix emerges as a powerhouse. Conversely, the Charlotte Hornets, despite facing challenges, have flashed signs of tenacity. With an average score of 107.1 points at a 45.8% shooting clip, they trail the Suns in performance. However, led by the dynamic duo of Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller, the Hornets harbor the spark for a potential upset, as evidenced by their recent triumphs over the Nets and Grizzlies. A crucial factor in this clash is the Suns' quick turnaround, having jousted with the Celtics the night prior. Historical trends hint at a possible fatigue-induced dip in performance in such back-to-back games, yet the Suns' depth and varied scoring ability might counterbalance this disadvantage. When dissecting the stats, especially the home versus away dynamic, the Suns clearly have the edge in offensive firepower, defensive resilience, and rebounding capability. Their efficiency from the perimeter and consistency at the free throw line grant them a significant upper hand against a Hornets squad that's been struggling defensively. Reflecting on the recent matchups in Charlotte, the Suns have consistently outplayed the Hornets, seizing critical moments. Despite Charlotte's victories, their erratic play and lesser efficiency from the field diminish their competitive edge. Phoenix's superior shooting metrics and rebounding strength stand out as pivotal elements in this equation. Injuries and form also weigh heavily on the prediction. With the Suns displaying a healthier roster and the Hornets navigating through rough patches, Phoenix's depth and talent are likely to tip the scales in their favor. Nonetheless, it's crucial to acknowledge the Suns' recent difficulties in covering the spread, particularly in consecutive games. Although favored by a 10.5-point spread, their track record against the spread hints at a chance for the Hornets to cover, considering Phoenix's potential weariness and Charlotte's drive to disrupt. To sum up, the Phoenix Suns, while superior on paper and anticipated to secure the win, face a unique challenge against the Charlotte Hornets. The Suns' back-to-back game and shaky spread performance suggest a tight contest, with the Hornets exploiting their home advantage and the Suns' potential exhaustion to keep the score gap narrow. Despite the expectations, anticipate a defensive slugfest with the total points likely falling well below the 218.5-point threshold. My pick leans towards the Charlotte Hornets beating the 10.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Miami Heat and Detroit Pistons. As the Miami Heat and Detroit Pistons prepare for their showdown at Little Caesars Arena, we're on the cusp of a captivating encounter. The Heat, boasting a 35-30 record, have hit a rough patch, dropping 4 straight games, notably a lackluster bout against the Nuggets, where they failed to have a player score over 20 points. Conversely, the Pistons, despite a challenging 12-53 season, have ignited a spark of resurgence. Jalen Duren's impressive 24-point, 23-rebound game has propelled them past the Raptors, marking their third win in the last 4 games. Miami's slide is marked by offensive woes, highlighted by a 42% field goal shooting and a dismal 5 out of 21 from the three-point line against Denver. Yet, with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler's steady performances, they remain in contention. Detroit's recent success, spurred by Duren's record-breaking feats and Cade Cunningham's leadership, signals a burgeoning threat, especially on their home turf after a morale-boosting win over Toronto. Despite Miami leading the season series against Detroit, the Pistons' form improvement and the Heat's injury concerns, with Tyler Herro, Kevin Love, and Josh Richardson out, introduce an intriguing complexity to this matchup. Detroit, even without Ausar Thompson, has demonstrated resilience and adaptability buoyed by their young roster. This matchup's dynamics, particularly considering home versus away performance and Detroit's ascending home game, suggest Detroit's rookies might surprise us, challenging the odds at Little Caesars Arena. Amidst Miami's struggles and Detroit's rising momentum, led by Duren and possibly Cunningham, this battle might defy expectations. Nevertheless, Miami's seasoned prowess and determination to halt their losing streak, along with their historical edge over Detroit, should not be underestimated. In light of the team's stats, venue, and recent forms, we're looking at a closely contested game where Miami might narrowly clinch a win, with Detroit ensuring it's a hard-fought victory. The Heat's quest to recover from their slump and leverage their critical game experience could help them secure a win, likely by a slim margin. The total points are expected to align closely with predictions, reflecting both teams' defensive gaps and offensive strengths. Basketball fans would note that the Miami Heat, despite a recent downturn, are on the brink of a turnaround. Their tendency to underperform against lower-ranking teams makes them unpredictable. With just 15 games left in the regular season and a win potentially securing the 6th seed, avoiding the play-in tournament, it's crucial for the Heat. For the Pistons, the stakes are lower, but expect a nail-biter, with the Heat ultimately triumphing and covering the spread. My wager is on Miami to not only win, but also to cover the 6-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Orlando Magic and Toronto Raptors. As the Orlando Magic prepare to face off against the Toronto Raptors at Scotiabank Arena, we're on the brink of a compelling matchup that's about more than just the standings. The Magic, comfortably positioned 5th in the Eastern Conference with a solid 38-28 record, starkly contrasts with the Raptors, who are languishing in 12th place with a 23-43 record. Their last showdown saw the Magic decisively triumph over the Raptors, 126-107, ramping up the excitement for this anticipated rematch. Orlando's recent performances have been a mixed bag, securing wins against heavyweights like the Nets, yet stumbling against the Knicks and Pacers. With a scoring average of 110.7 points on a 47.6% shooting accuracy, and a defense that surrenders 109.3 points on a similar shooting efficiency, they've shown a balanced yet potent approach. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner have been key in driving Orlando's offense, while their defense, ranking 3rd in points allowed, has effectively shut down adversaries. On the flip side, Toronto's path has been rocky, plagued by defeats, including losses to the Pelicans and Suns. They average 114.1 points, but give up 118.2 points on a higher allowed shooting percentage, underscoring their defensive frailties. Despite standout performances by R.J. Barrett and Scotty Barnes, injuries to key players have compounded their struggles. Historically, the Raptors have dominated the Magic in Toronto, boasting a 9-1 record. Yet, the current dynamics hint at a shift, with Orlando's tight defense and strategic offense potentially overcoming Toronto's faltering form and injury issues. Orlando's ability to beat the spread, particularly as road favorites with a 7-2 record this season, combined with Toronto's offensive and defensive woes, suggests a tilt in favor of Orlando, despite past difficulties in Toronto. Taking into account team stats, recent form, head-to-head history, and injury impacts, the prediction leans towards Orlando, not just securing a win, but also covering the 6.5-point spread. Orlando's defensive solidity, along with Toronto's scoring and defensive shortcomings, especially in the absence of crucial players, anticipates an Orlando win. With the total points set at 218, the defensive tactics of Orlando and Toronto's offensive challenges may likely push the game to stay under. In summary, although Toronto has historically enjoyed home advantage, the present scenario suggests a different outcome. With Orlando's unified team, a fully fit squad, and tactical play, they stand a good chance against a Toronto team battling with injuries and form issues. The smart bet is on the Orlando Magic to maintain their impressive spread covering streak and to bet on the total points falling under the set margin. My money's on the Orlando Magic to win and cover the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Los Angeles Clippers and New Orleans Pelicans. In the electrifying ambiance of the Smoothie King Center on a crisp March night, the Los Angeles Clippers are gearing up to battle the New Orleans Pelicans in what's shaping up to be a blockbuster NBA showdown. Coming off a tough back-to-back stint that ended in a stumble against the Bulls, the Clippers, now grappling with injuries and fatigue, find themselves at a disadvantage without Kawhi Leonard, sidelined due to back spasms. This puts the onus on Paul George and James Harden to step up their game in Leonard's absence. The Pelicans, on the flip side, are riding a wave of recent victories and come into this game with significant momentum. Their stellar play, spearheaded by Zion Williamson's court dominance, underscores their resilience and depth. A knack for maintaining superior field goal percentages and dominating the boards on both ends of the court has been key to their winning formula. Stat-wise, the Clippers boast an impressive 49.1% shooting accuracy from the field and 38.6% from three-point range. Yet, their average rebound count of 42.9 might fall short against the Pelicans, who excel in rebounding with an average of 44.7 per game. The Pelicans also shine with a 48.8% field goal rate and a slightly lower three-point accuracy of 38.1% compared to the Clippers. Past encounters in New Orleans have been challenging for the Clippers, who've struggled to keep pace, especially with the Pelicans' strong home game performance. The Clippers' energy and performance in consecutive games, marred by recent defeats, hint at a potential fatigue factor that the Pelicans could leverage. In their recent face-offs in New Orleans, the Pelicans have shown they can edge out the Clippers, especially in rebounding and shooting efficiency, with the home court advantage significantly impacting the game's outcome. Injuries further skew the odds in favor of the Pelicans, with the Clippers missing crucial players like Leonard. This absence not only diminishes their scoring threat, but also their defensive stance, presenting an opportunity for the Pelicans to capitalize on. Thus, the forecast tilts towards a victory for the New Orleans Pelicans. Their rebounding edge, coupled with the Clippers' injury setbacks and fatigue from back-to-back games, marks the Pelicans as the likely victors and spread coverers. The Smoothie King Center's vibrant energy, alongside the Pelicans' form and the Clippers' hurdles, points to a game dominated by New Orleans. With the game's total points pegged at 217, it's expected to be a high-scoring affair. Considering both teams' offensive prowess and recent track records, the game could surpass the total points threshold. Nonetheless, the Pelicans' defensive acumen and their capacity to curb the Clippers' scoring drives, particularly without Leonard, will be crucial. In essence, the New Orleans Pelicans are set to leverage their home court advantage and exploit the Clippers' current weaknesses. With a potent mix of offensive power and defensive solidity, the Pelicans are well positioned to clinch a win and beat the spread, making them the definitive favorites in this clash. My money's on the New Orleans Pelicans to triumph and cover the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Denver Nuggets and San Antonio Spurs. As the Denver Nuggets hit the court at the Frostbank Center to face off against the San Antonio Spurs on a crisp Friday night, the air is electric with anticipation. Riding high from their recent win against the Miami Heat, the Nuggets are laser-focused on solidifying their lead in the Western Conference. Michael Porter Jr., with his sniper-like precision from downtown, and Nikola Jokic, the maestro, conducting the play with his all-around game, are leading Denver's charge. This squad is a dual threat, dominating both ends of the court with an impressive post-All-Star break run, boasting a 10-1 record that screams championship material. On the flip side, the Spurs, though they've hit a rough patch, including a heart-stopping loss to the Houston Rockets, are no pushovers. Trey Jones and Jeremy Sochin have been turning heads with their play, and Victor Wembanyama has been giving fans a sneak peek of what's to come. Yet, their battle for consistency has been their downfall, leaving them lagging in the Western standings. Denver's secret weapon has been their killer combo of sharpshooting and rebound domination, setting them apart. Their clutch performance in hostile territories shows they've got nerves of steel. Historically, Denver has outplayed the Spurs in their turf wars, often beating the spread and maintaining a psychological advantage. Past clashes in San Antonio have been high-octane, score-heavy games, with the Nuggets frequently coming out on top. Despite Denver's hot streak and the Spurs' woes, the home team's grit could narrow the gap, especially if the Nuggets have their sights set on future battles. Injuries are key game changers, with the Spurs missing critical players like Cedi Osman and Keldon Johnson. This could tip the scales in Denver's favor in crunch time, with their all-hands-on-deck approach and defensive stronghold likely to prevail. Looking at the stats, current momentum, and historical clashes, the smart bet's on the Denver Nuggets to keep their win streak alive. But the Spurs, backed by their home crowd and underdog fire, are ready to challenge, possibly even beating the 10.5-point spread set by the bookies. With a total points line of 222.5, a high-speed offensive showdown is on the cards. Betting on a points bonanza, with both teams gunning for the scoreboard, seems like a smart play. Expect the Denver Nuggets to clinch a win in this nail-biter, showcasing the pinnacle of both teams' abilities. The Spurs, while they may not snag the victory, are set to give the spread a run for its money, turning this face-off into an edge-of-your-seat thrill ride for both fans and bettors. My money's on the San Antonio Spurs to beat the spread. The last prediction for today is for the game between Atlanta Hawks and Utah Jazz. As the Atlanta Hawks gear up for a showdown against the Utah Jazz at the Delta Center, the matchup's dynamics captivate due to the recent trajectories and challenges both squads face. The Hawks, positioned 10th in the Eastern Conference with a 29-36 record, are navigating through a rough patch, having dropped 4 out of their last 7 contests, including a pair of consecutive defeats leading into this game. Despite these hurdles, the Hawks have demonstrated a fighting spirit, particularly in their offensive prowess, posting an average of 119.4 points on 46.4% shooting. However, their defense has been a point of concern, surrendering 121.2 points on 49.4% shooting. This fluctuation in form heaps pressure on DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic to spearhead the attack, more so with several key figures out injured. Conversely, the Utah Jazz, holding a 28-37 tally, are in the midst of turbulence, losing 11 of their past 13 matchups. Injuries have not spared the Jazz either, sidelining pivotal players like Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson. Their scoring output averages at 117.6 points on 47% shooting, while defensively they concede 120.7 points on 48.6% shooting. The absence of crucial personnel has significantly hampered their competitive edge. Analyzing the recent head-to-head clashes in this season's stats sheds light on the anticipated encounter. Both teams have been battered by injuries, influencing their on-court performance. Yet, the Hawks boast a slightly superior scoring average and a robust offensive lineup, poised to rise to the occasion in the absence of their stars. The Jazz's defensive woes, especially against the three-pointer where they rank almost at the bottom, might tilt the scales in this encounter. Given the Hawks' consecutive game scenario, teams on back-to-backs often show signs of fatigue, which could impact their showing. Nonetheless, the urgency for a victory to clinch a play-in berth might ignite the Hawks' fervor and resilience, possibly negating the back-to-back handicap. In light of both teams' scoring efficiency, three-point shooting prowess, and rebounding capabilities, the Hawks seem to hold the advantage, despite defensive shortcomings. The Jazz's notable injuries and current slump indicate they might struggle to halt Atlanta's offensive charge. Historical matchups in Utah also suggest a leaning towards the Hawks, highlighting their knack for thriving under pressure. With odds favoring the Atlanta Hawks by a 2-point margin and an over-under set at 224 points, the forecast tilts towards Atlanta covering the spread. The Hawks' offensive depth, anchored by Murray's scoring touch and the team's scoring acumen, grants them an upper hand over a Jazz lineup wrestling with significant absences. Though both teams ardently seek victory, the Hawks' playoff ambitions and slightly superior team synergy could sway the outcome in their favor. Prediction: Atlanta Hawks to cover the spread. Considering the adversities facing both squads, especially the Jazz's diminished roster and the Hawks' offensive might, Atlanta seems better positioned for a pivotal away win. The total points are anticipated to fall under, given the scoring constraints from injuries and the game's playoff implications, suggesting a tilt towards a more guarded and defensively oriented battle. My wager is on the Atlanta Hawks to triumph and cover the spread.